All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to America Talks Live. Your phone calls, 877-NEWS-MAX, 877-639-7629, as we await the arrival of the panel. And once the panel is in place, all three of us will have something very interesting in common. How's that for a tease? Stay there, and you'll see. In the meantime, let me put something up on screen that Barack Obama said while I was off for the Jewish holidays. I believe it was for Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur. Well, obviously one of them. But it was a week or two ago that he said this. But I think this is very, very disturbing, very, very important that we get this out there. Back on the 13th of this month, Barack Obama, as quoted in Yahoo News, a story on Yahoo News, said, "We are going to have to rebuild within this wild, wild west of information flow some sort of curating function that people agree to. There has to be, I think, some sort of way in which we can sort through information that passes some basic truthiness tests and those that we have to discard because they just don't have any basis in anything that's actually happening in the world." So before we put up the next quote, let me just, so he wants some kind of gatekeeper for information that he and his ilk on the left would tell you is not true. Now, he specifically pointed at one point to climate change. So Barack Obama, and believe me, the others on the left too, would like to filter out any news from any media source, whatever you turn to, whether it's Newsmax or anybody else. They're going to have someone in place to judge what's true and what's not true. And they'll be the gatekeepers for that. So let me welcome in the panel, and we'll talk about that in the other graphic that we could put up as Obama continued. But joining us on the panel, Stacy Washington, host of Stacy on the Right show, and Kurt Schlichter, trial lawyer, senior columnist at townhall.com, and retired U.S. Army colonel and author of People's Republic. Now, I teased the audience, guys, while we were getting you, and I said all three of us on this panel right now have something in common. And I know, Kurt, you have a well-documented, you've been shushed on CNN and basically, thrown off. That was well-documented. I was shushed on CNN by Carol Costello, and basically that ended the segment. And Stacy, I could be wrong, but we were all watching in the newsroom last week. Glad to see you on CNN. But you brought up something where you got kind of shushed as well, right?
Yeah, well, actually, my record on CNN is that I'm usually interrupted, personally attacked, or cut off the quote fingers, guys, because, their feeds have never had difficulty until just recently. The thing that tricks the feeds is if you say the word WikiLeaks and Hillary Clinton, then all of a sudden the internet's down. CNN, which is a worldwide broadcast corporation, they have trouble with their feeds.
Yeah, satellite feeds, Skype feeds. I know. I've seen it happen. Kurt, and it happened to you too.
Yeah, it's a mystery. What are the chances, Steve? It's amazing. Every time somebody brings up the fact of Hillary's rampant corruption and, well, flat out evil, CNN suddenly discovers it has technical difficulties. Who would have thought?
Yeah, and worse, just downright shutting you up and saying, "Oh no, we don't talk about that," which is almost worse. All right, let's move on. I just put up a graphic
on the air discussing why Hillary's terrible in answer to a question, and Don Lemon cuts my mic.
Yeah.
Which is a compliment. I guess I was effective.
And I brought up this is months ago with Carol Costello when it was still the primaries, how Hillary was on tape laughing about getting a child rapist. Oh no, we got So that was the end of that.
They always say it's unverified, Steve. That's unsubstantiated. What they like to do to me is say, "Let me correct you," and then they'll say the talking point, and then when I say, "No, you can't correct me because I'm right," then they attack me personally. As a black person, I get attacked for being black. It's just fun. You know?
Well, and just.
We have to be corrected when we point out the truth.
Just one more on that. One more on that. One more on that, Kurt and Stacy.
Don Lemon, it's holy writ.
Don Lemon the other day, and I want to move on to Obama. Don Lemon the other day actually told Corey Lewandowski, he held up a report or something, and he said, Oh, no. That's been disproven. Here's the PolitiFacts or whatever it's called. Hey, here, read it. And what was disproven? That Hillary laughed on the tape. And Lewandowski was incredulous. He said, what? Are you saying that's not her? Are you saying she's not laughing? Here it is. Read it. It's been debunked. It didn't happen. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Anyway, so I put up Barack Obama from a couple of weeks ago, the 13th of the month, talking about how we have to have something in place to basically filter out what's real news and what's not news. Let's put up the next one that from the same speech, also on October 13th from the Yahoo story. That is hard to do, he said, but I think it's going to be necessary. It's going to be possible. The answer is obviously not censorship, but it's creating places where people can say, this is reliable, and I'm still able to argue safely about facts and what we should do about it. So Barack Obama advocating for outright, he says it's not censorship, which definitely means it is, Stacy, and don't think Hillary is any different, and don't think if she gets her way with the Supreme Court or, God forbid, the Senate, they won't move to do all of this.
Well, you're always losing when you have to explain that your idea is not censorship. When that's like a possibility, you've already lost the argument. These guys are fascists, Steve. They are not. They don't believe in free speech. They don't believe in any of the Bill of Rights except for the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. They love that one. Look, these are bad people, and until we understand what we're up against, we're going to keep losing.
Yeah, I agree. Stacy?
So I have to, Kurt's exactly right. But I want to point out that everyone is saying that Hillary is so different, and they're imputing this difference to her because she can wear a pantsuit as opposed to a men's suit, and because she's a woman. But what they're not understanding is the continuation of the Obama agenda is regardless of sexual parts. Hillary Clinton is an avowed leftist. She's actually moved light years to the left since she was an original neocon with her husband, an interventionist warmonger, as leftists like to say. Those aren't my words. I'm an Air Force veteran, so I believe in making war to protect this country. So when we talk about freedom of the press and some of our most basic rights given to us in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, we understand on the right that Hillary Clinton is about abolishing those. She doesn't believe in the Heller decision for the Second Amendment. She believes that we should have abortion on demand paid for by taxpayers. She believes in single payer. She doesn't think Obamacare went far enough. I could go on and on and on down the list, but to suffice it to say, if you believe in liberty and freedom, regardless of what you think of Donald Trump's comments or his personal behaviors, activities, marriages, what have you, you have to understand that there are only two choices, and one of them is for fascism and complete and utter control of your very being, and the other one, while maybe bundling it a little bit, is for freedom.
Very, very well said. Kurt, let me run this by you here. A story from the Wall Street Journal today talking about how, and this just gets worse and worse, Terry McAuliffe's PAC in Virginia gave tons of money to Dr. Jill McCabe's 2015 state Senate campaign. Jill McCabe is the wife of Andrew McCabe, who's the FBI's deputy director, who was involved reportedly in, of course, the Hillary Clinton investigation. And not only did that PAC give her tons of money, $487,000, but the Democratic Party of Virginia gave her an additional $207,000. And again, not an eye is batted.
Oh, no, well, it's been debunked. And how do I know it's been debunked, Steve? Yeah, it's been debunked because they denied it was wrongdoing. I mean, that seems pretty clear to me. Let's all move on. Again, hey, another porn actress has a problem with Donald Trump, wanting to do what she does all the time. Oh my gosh, let's get some team coverage on this. Look, as I wrote today in Town Hall, the system, which includes the media, because the media is an important part of our overall system, is utterly rigged. It's utterly corrupt. It is full of lies. It is full of distortions, full of manipulation. And this is just another example. Watergate, I remember when I was a little kid, every day, even the most tiny thing was in the newspaper about Watergate. We get a Watergate every freaking day, Steve, and they don't care.
Yeah, good point.
Everything they say about honest government is a lie, just like everything they say about racism and sexism is a lie.
Good point. Stacy?
I want to point out to Americans that one of the most stark contrasts between the two candidates happened at the last debate, and it's been largely overlooked by the media because it paints them in a very bad light. And it was the moment when Chris Wallace asked about late-term abortion, not abortion at 20 weeks, not abortion by the pill, the Plan B. Actual infanticide, which is legal in this country. And I was a little confused about it at the time. And I thank God because I just went and looked it up. And there are 13,000 of these partial birth abortions done in America every year. Out of the 1.1 million abortions that are done in this country, 360,000 of which are done by Planned Parenthood. The reason I'm bringing this up is because we have to cut through all of the fluff and the corrections and all of that to get down to the core issues on why we have to make a decision one way or the other. And the fact is, if you're for infanticide, you're for Hillary. If you believe a human being is a human being is a human being.
Absolutely. And we're out of time. We'll pick it up in the next segment because I think it's very important, and I was glad Trump brought it up. More with the panel, folks. Don't go away.